So basically, there are three types of interview questions. The vast majority of interview questions will fall into one of these three categories. One, there are what we call behavior-based interview questions. Two, there are what we call hypothetical interview questions. And finally, there's a third category called close-ended questions. Now, the best way to answer any interview question, regardless of category, is to provide an example, or what I call professional success stories. And the START method is my preferred method to build professional success stories. So while we talk about these three types of interview questions, we're also going to talk about how to weave examples from your past professional success stories on how to answer these. So the first category of interview questions are called behavior-based questions. These are very common in larger companies or government agencies, but they will show up in smaller companies too. So now the theory behind behavior-based interviewing is that past behavior is an indication of future success. So with these type of questions, the interviewer is looking more to understand your past experience, what things you've done and how you've handled situations, not what you would do. These type of questions are pretty easy to identify. They're going to sound something like this. Tell me about a time when. Describe a situation where you had to. If you think about how that question is structured, it really forces you, or it should, to provide an example from your past. So let's say, for example, somebody were to ask me, hey, Kurt, tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult client. Then I'd want to go and provide an example from my past. I might start talking about a situation I encountered and so forth. The other type of interview question is what's called a hypothetical question. Now here the interviewer is asking how you would handle a future situation, but to make your answer that much stronger, you would still want to add an example or a professional success story from your past. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So let's say the question is something like, how would you deal with an angry client? So again, you want to talk about what you would do by describing the steps you would take, but to make that even a little bit stronger, you'd also want to say something like, let me provide you an example of how I've dealt with something like this in the past. And then you'd go on and provide that example, again, what I call a professional success story, of course, using the START method. Now, the third type of interview question is what I call a close-ended question. These type of questions can be answered with a simple yes or no or a very short answer. So for example, let's say somebody asked me, like, Kurt, are you proficient in Microsoft Excel? I could say, yes, I am, and leave it at that. But to make that answer a little bit stronger, it'd be helpful to provide an answer. So you could say, well, yes, I am. Let me provide you an example of a recent complex project I worked on using Microsoft Excel. And of course, you're going to provide an example from your past, and the preferred method to talk about that example, that professional success story, is using the START method. The key to effectively answering questions, regardless of the category, is to weave in examples from your past, what I call professional success stories. The method I teach is called the START method, which will help you build those stories and organize your thoughts. And by using that technique, regardless of the type of questions, it's going to allow you to answer the questions more effectively and make a greater impact with the listener.